well, this example 1 is about pennants, and just so you make sure you're clear, this guy right here, he's holding a pennant. That's a pennant. Okay, that's what this problem is about. Knowing that, Michael, will you read the problem for us?
30 students bought pennants for the football game. Plain pennants cost $4 each, and fancy ones cost $8 each. If the total bill was $168, how many students bought the fancy pennants?
Woo, that's a fun problem. Got a lot of information in it, doesn't it? Yep. So, gosh, I counted 4 numbers in that problem myself. Let's see if we can find all 4 numbers. Find one and tell me what it is. Anna?
30.
30, and what is 30 representing?
Students.
The number of students, it's also representing what?
How many students in class?
Yeah, it's also representing the amount of pennants, because each student bought, each of those bought a pennant. What's another number besides 30 in the problem? Mikey?
168.
And what's that?
The amount, the total bill of all the pennants put together.
Everything put together, 168. What's another number? Mike?
4.
What's that?
The cost of the plain pennants.
Cost of a plain pennant. One more number buried in there. Can you find it? Daryl?
8.
What's that?
The cost of the fancy pennant.
Yeah, that's a lot of information. But if we break it down and put it into a chart, make sure you're paying attention in that drawing. It falls apart nicely. All right? So we're going to make a chart. Instead of who today, we're going to talk about what?
Plain and fancy?
Plain and fancy pennants, right? Like Logan?
Yeah.
So I'm going to just put plain and fancy, even though it represents plain pennants and fancy pennants. There's the amount of pennants involved in the problem. So I'm going to title my second column, how many? Then there's a cost for each one. Cost each. And then there's a value, a total value of those. Let's work on filling in this chart. We're going to start with the how many column, and often this is the trickiest column for kids to fill in. What do we know about how many pennants are involved in this problem? What do we know about it? Jack?
There are 30 total.
30 total. Jack, do we know how many plain there are?
No.
How many fancy there are?
No.
Just how many there are altogether. How do we handle this algebraically? We've been seeing this kind of coming back at us, right? What would you say, Mary?
Plain is X and fancy is 30 minus X.
Pick a variable for 1. Mary says plain is X. We have X plain pennants. And then fancy, what did you say it had to be, Mary?
30 minus X.
Good, the total minus X, 30 minus X. It's kind of hard for kids to pick out sometimes because it says 30 students bought the pennants. That means there were 30 pennants altogether, all right? How much do the plain, yes?
Well, like, how would you know there were 30 pennants? Because a student could have bought one.
I suppose technically that you're right, Erna, the wording should be tweaked a little bit, but we have to assume that here in order to solve the problem. That's a good question. Probably should have each bought 1 pennant. Okay. How much do the plain pennants cost? Liam?
$4.
$4 each. How much do the fancy pennants cost? Luke? $8 each. So if we know how many plain pennants are bought and how much they cost each, what's the total value of the plain pennants? I'm just saying that over and over again. Luke?
4X.
Very good. 4x. Anyone have a question about that? All right. So Mikey, what's the total value of our fancy pennants?
Would it be 30 minus 8x?
Well, we have to take how many and multiply them by how much they each are. How would we write that algebraically?
8 times 30 minus x.
Very good. 8 times the quantity 30 minus x. All right. So we've broken this problem down. We're ready to write an equation. What do you think the equation will be here? What do you think? Liam?
4X plus 8 30 minus X
Yeah.
equals, 168.
Yeah, very good. The value of the plain plus the value of the fancy has to total our overall total of 168. Very good. I want you and your partner to take like 1.5 minutes working together so we don't spin our wheels with little errors to solve this and answer the question. Guys? All right, so you guys work together well. You solved that x equals 18. What is x representing? 18 is what? Mikey?
The playing pennants.
The plain pennants. And we want
The cost of
we want the fancy pennants, right?
oh yeah.
Yeah, so what do we gotta do if we know the plain are 18? What do we gotta do to get the fancy ones? Yeah, Mikey? Oh,
30 minus 18.
30 minus 18, remember fancy was 30 minus x, and you get 12. So you all should have the complete sentence answer. 12 students bought fancy pennants, but Mrs. Joe was going to save a little time by not writing that. Are there any questions there? Okay, we're going to do the next two problems, but we're just going to set them up. We're not going to solve them because I know you can solve, right? So we'll work on the setup for the next two. Here we go. Brace yourself for the algebra problem, and then read it. All right, Carol, can you read it?
Adult tickets for the game cost $4 each, and student tickets cost $2 each. A total of 920 tickets for $2,446 were sold. How many student tickets were sold? That's a lot of tickets.
That's a lot of tickets, that's a lot of information, so let's get ourselves organized. Let's make a little chart. First column, we're going to make the what? What's the first column going to be, Liam?
It's going to be what?
What's involved in this problem? And what is involved in this problem? What is this problem about?
Tickets.
Okay.
Adults and students.
Adult tickets and student tickets. I'm going to just write adult rather than adult tickets and student, even though I know this is tickets. All right. The next column after what is going to be, Daryl, how many? How many? We'll come back to filling these columns in a second. After how many, what's the next column going to be, Michael?
Cost of each.
Cost each, very good. And the final column, what's that gonna be, Vaishu?
Total value.
Total value. All right, the adult tickets and the student tickets, we gotta fill in the how many column. What can you tell me here? What can you tell me about the how many? What is the one piece of information you know about the amount of tickets? Logan?
920 tickets.
All together, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know the adult, and we don't know
Oh,
the
I
student.
got it. I got it.
Erna?
So you could do like adult and you can do like student or like 920.
Okay, so we would actually do the adult as N,
Oh yeah.
and then the students would be what, Erna? Very good.
Wouldn't it be easier in the end to do students are N and then adults are N minus 900?
That's a good question, Logan. You can do it either way, and actually in this problem, I don't know that it would be very much different either way. So whichever way you choose to do it is fine, but just so that we flow here together as a class, let's do it. N is adult and students is N 920 minus N. But don't agonize over that decision. If you did it the other way around, your problem will still work out. It's just that instead of solving and getting the adult amount, you would solve and get the student, and then you'd have to subtract with the other. Okay, so it works out. What's the cost of the adult tickets, Will?
Cost of the adult tickets is for
Each, I'm sorry, I should have asked first, is just 4, and the total value is 4N. What's the cost of each student ticket, Anna?
$2.
What's their cost altogether?
2N. Wait, no, 9.
Student tickets, there's this many, and they cost $2 each. What's the expression for their total value?
2 times 900.
Very good. All right. Tell your partner what you think the equation is. I'm hearing you.
Four n plus two parentheses, 920 minus n plus
What are we supposed to solve?
Nope, not solving it, I just wanted you to verify what you thought the equation was.
Really equals 2,446.
Alright, Caitlin and Mike, you talked? Caitlin, what did you guys decide?
4n plus 2 times 920 minus n equals 9.
Equals what?
9. Oh, no. 2,400.
Yeah, equals the whole enchilada of money, 2,546. Alright, let's not get distracted, sorry. Alright. We go here. Ew. Do you all understand the equation? You all have your correct? Alright, we're gonna save time. I said we're not gonna solve this one. Solve it and answer in a sentence.
N equals
We need to move on and look at the other problem, because I wanna make sure you can set that up.
n equals 400.
Alright.
And what's my bad?
Final example. This is a coin problem, you guys. This is a classic algebra type problem. That will probably show up on an SAT or ACT test. Alright, although it's a little bit different wording, it's really very similar to the other problems we just did. Alright, why don't you read me the problem, Will?
A collection of 40 dimes and nickels is worth $2.90. How many nickels are there?
Alright, well, we know information about dimes and nickels, right? We know what they're each worth, and there's the number of them, and there's a total value, so it's really similar to the last kind of problems. If we make our chart, and we talk about what would we say is the what of this problem? What is this problem about, Carol?
Nickels.
Nickels and dimes. And the next column is going to be what? What's our next column going to be here? Luke? How many? Let's write in these columns and then we'll come back and fill them in. After how many, what would we have? What would come after that? Inflation?
Cost each.
Yeah, cost each or value each. What would the final column be, Jack?
Total value.
Right.
Total.
All right. So, the how many is often the most difficult piece to figure out. How many nickels? How many dimes? What would you tell us, Will?
There are L dimes and 40 minus L, or
If you pick L, I'm going to write a cursive because I don't want it to turn into a 1. Okay. And what would you put for the nickels then, buddy?
40 minus L.
Why did you say that?
Because you don't know how many, well, there's L dimes, and what's on the left is nickels.
And there's 40 altogether. Yeah. Sometimes this will be a total, like this situation. In one of your homework problems, it's more of a comparison. 3 times as many, then you got to adjust your thinking a little bit there, but I know you can do it. All right, what's the value of each nickel? Think about nickels, you know this. What's the value of each nickel? Michael? 5. What's the value of each dime? Michael? 10. Now we can write our total value expressions. What's an expression for the total value of nickels, Mike?
5 times 40 minus 7.
Very good. And what's the expression for the total number of dimes, Liam?
10.
Good. Again, of course, I used L up
Oh,
here, so
sorry.
I'm just adapting. Right?
Sorry.
No problem.
They rhyme.
Sorry.
Now we're ready to write the equation. What equation are we going to write, do you think? Anna?
L plus 5 times 40 minus L equals 290.
Okay, do you want me to put 2.90 or 290 and why?
2.90.
Why?
Because it's only $2 and not 200.
What about this? What's this 10 representing, Anna?
Oh,
What's the 10 standing for?
What it's worth.
What's worth?
Time.
Dimes, and it's worth 10 what?
Cents.
Cents. And what's this representing?
5 cents.
Cents. So when I add those together, I really need to put not dollars over here, but cents. So what should I put here? Not $2.90, but
290 cents.
290 cents. Yeah, you gotta be careful, that's a little sticky point there. So make yourself a note to use cents format if you've used cents with your other expressions. Okay, any questions about that? Then you would solve and answer, but once again, we're going to focus not on the solve part right now because you've already demonstrated some level of mastery there. I'm going to have you start. We've got 6 minutes left, so this is a lofty goal for you and your partner. I'm going to give you the homework assignments. I want you to set up the first 2 problems. Make the chart and write the equation, not solve it. Skip some space and do the same for the next. When you go to do your homework, then you'll have a couple set up well. You can solve them and continue. All right? Are there